Welcome into No Punt Intended, presented by Club Fantasy. We are in our third week of free agent previews, now focusing on the receivers. If you missed last week's and the previous week's quarterbacks and running backs with Jason Moore on the quarterback show and Kate, oh God, I'm going to mess up the last name, Majuk?
Yes.
Majuk. I got to put more emphasis on that name. Majuk from Ball Blast. Those are the past 2 weeks. But this week, joining me with Josh and Ryan is first time ever on a podcast, brand new. Also, now I'm not the youngest one on the show. He's 14, Hutchinson Brown. Thanks for coming on, Hutch.
I'm glad to be here, guys. I'm just so excited to get my first episode in. And I'm having a podcast come out in April. On April 1st, we posted my first episode. The teaser is coming out in mid to late March. It's going to be on Apple, Spotify, and Google Podcasts. And if you want to be updated on that, you can follow me on Twitter at TYFMNFL. I'll be notifying you guys when that comes out. And yeah, I'm just glad to be here. I'm super excited to talk about free agent receivers today.
I love the Twitter handle, the Young Fantasy Mind. Where did you come up with that?
Yeah, that's what it stands for. I mean, I kind of just thought of it. I was thinking 14-year-old making a podcast. I should kind of incorporate kind of the age thing into it. And that's kind of what just came out first. I loved it. So
well, when you grow up, you might have to rebrand. So just be careful with that one.
Yeah, I literally thought I would have to put a little thing, and it said Young-ish Fantasy Mind Football Podcast. When I get older.
That's all right. Lil Wayne goes by little, and he's 40 now. So
there you go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
All right. Well, super excited to have you on, Hutch. We're happy to basically be your first podcast appearance, which is awesome.
It's awesome, man.
Because Ryan did his first podcast appearance, correct, with us, and now he's part of the team. Reluctantly,
interestingly enough, half of the current fantasy football writers, I think, did their first podcast with us. They joke, Hutch, that they only brought me in to bring more guests in. That's the only reason I'm even here. So
I don't joke about it. I'm very serious.
Yeah, no, you're.
I don't know why he thinks I joke about that.
Joe is very clear about me serving no purpose.
Yeah, no, Ryan's not here for any reason besides guests.
And all the research that you take credit for to prove all of us wrong, right?
I don't do any research.
That's the point I'm getting at.
I don't take credit on the research, though. I just tell you why you're wrong, and then I'm right. It's that simple. All right, here we go. So running backs, if you thought running backs were a big list, you were wrong. Wide receivers are even bigger. And arguably, I would say probably the sexiest position when it comes to fantasy football because of
the names are ridiculous.
The names are ridiculous.
Yeah.
So starting with the free agent wide receivers, and Josh, I assume you pulled this from Spot Track, same way you did with the running backs. So this is going to be guys based on their average annual value in 2020. So their average annual value contract in 2020 from highest to lowest. Here we go. Allen Robinson, AJ Green, T.Y. Hilton, Larry Fitzgerald, Tyrell Williams, who just signed with the Detroit Lions on Wednesday, today, Desean Jackson, Sammy Watkins, Marvin Jones Jr., Rashad Perryman, Corey Davis, Willie Snead, Cordero Patterson, John Ross, Will Fuller, Antonio Brown, Curtis Samuel, Demir Bird, Juju Smith-Schuster, Nelson Aguilar, Rashad Higgins, Chris Godwin, Kenny Galladay, Tim Patrick, Alan Lazard, Greg Ward, and correct me if I'm wrong, the Giants just released Golden Tate.
And Tate.
So Golden Tate, add him to the list of what seems to be a long list of slot receivers on here.
Pretty much, yeah.
Are a lot of guys that have had time in the slot. But obviously, we're going to start with probably the biggest name on this list. You could argue who's bigger. But Allen Robinson. I don't think anyone thinks he ends up back in Chicago, mostly because Chicago, I think, has the money. They just don't have the quarterbacks room or situation. They had too many quarterbacks, which means you have no quarterbacks, essentially. So, Hutch, for A-Rob here, we'll start with you. Thoughts on where you think he goes and where you think is the best fantasy fit for him? You can start with whatever one you want. I'll let you take it.
So, I think that Jacksonville would actually be a great spot for his fantasy value with Trevor Lawrence coming in. DJ Chark is, I don't think he's going to be the alpha there. I don't think he has the ability to be an alpha. So I think Allen Robinson in Jacksonville will be a great fit. Also, maybe Philadelphia, but Philadelphia is like $43 million over the cap. I don't think they have the money to do that. So it'd be pretty tough for them. It'd be pretty tough for Philly to sign him. But those are really my top two places. Or back in Chicago even. Like, he's been productive in Chicago for a while, so he could keep producing there.
Hutch might have been too young to know that Allen Robinson was once a Jacksonville Jaguar.
A Jaguar, yeah.
Okay, perfect.
I was gonna say that, but I was like, I'm not 100% positive that's right.
He was,
so I didn't
yeah.
want to say it and be wrong. He was a Jacksonville Jaguar, right?
Yeah, it was.
Yes,
it was Allen squared. It was him and Alan Hurd, correct? Where the
Alan Hearns.
Alan Hearns, thank you. Where the two Jaguars just 3 years ago, I believe Allen Robinson was a Jaguar. Yeah. So I agree with the fit on Jacksonville. Philadelphia could use a receiver every single year. That they're just going to get injured. Yeah. So what does that matter? But I like the Jacksonville, right? Go back, play with a team that drafted you. I don't think there's any bad blood there. Doug Marrone, obviously.
Even if there are, the only like head people that are still there is the owner.
Yeah,
which, I mean, if he had bad blood with the owner, then I would think
that'd be a problem. Yeah,
like,
exactly. Ryan, Josh, thoughts on A-Rob?
I think Hutch hit it best with his last point. I think he needs to go back to Chicago. I understand that the quarterback situation is not ideal, but A-Rob is starting to turn into what I feel like is a volume guy along the lines of Keenan Allen. And I don't know that 150 targets are going to be up for grabs on many other teams in the NFL, any other teams in the NFL. Whereas in Chicago, it's 150. And with the way that team's going, might be 160, 175 targets next year. And that's great for his fantasy. It is not great for real football at all. To be honest, the complete opposite of great for fantasy is I think he should go to Baltimore. I think he would be the kind of presence that they need in their wide receiver room, gives them something completely different from what they have in Marquise Brown, but it would be awful for his fantasy prospects. So for real football, Baltimore. For fantasy, I would love to see him stay in Chicago.
Can I say something real quick?
Yeah.
I did see Baltimore actually said they weren't going to pursue on A-Rob and Kenny Galladay. So I would like him there for NFL purposes because that'd be a great receiving core with Hollywood Brown and A-Rob. But yeah, they don't seem like they want him.
Yeah, I saw a tweet right after that Baltimore has the second least amount of money spent in their offense of any team in the NFL or something like that.
I mean, it's all young guys. Like instead of doing
Lamar,
what
J.K.
Buffalo
Dobbins,
did, instead of doing what Buffalo did, where you bring in a veteran wide receiver to help the growth of your young quarterback, they're just bringing in young guys to grow with their young quarterback, and that's going to take a lot more patience. And for a team that was last in the NFL in pass attempts, don't see that really changing, especially with as long as Greg Roman's going to be a very uninnovative presence on offense. But for me, as much as it pains me to say, I think the Giants would be a prime spot for Allen Robinson. I know the jury's still out on Daniel Jones, but Jason Garrett's back. And we've seen this kind of happen where, a new offensive coordinator comes in, kind of struggles year one to really fit the pieces into his offense and where they really want to go. But we've seen Jason Garrett's offense succeed with a true alpha. Like when I was going through and doing my projections last year, I really thought that was going to be Darius Slayton, especially the way that he ended his rookie year. Maybe he could take that leap, but it just wasn't there. I don't know if it was the inconsistency of Jones, the lack of the preseason within Garrett's offense, but you bring in a veteran like Allen Robinson, who could then maybe take over that Des Bryant role in Jason Garrett's offense, that could pop. And keep in mind, too, you're getting Saquon Barkley back. That's only going to make Allen Robinson's job as an alpha receiver easier. And there really aren't a ton of great pass catchers there in New York to where Robinson could still see 140-plus targets. So I don't think it kills his fantasy value either.
Giants did just release Golden Tate.
There you go.
So they've got some cap space. So
they have a need at wide receiver.
I mean, some cap space. I don't know how much cap relief they get from releasing Golden Tate, but they're currently sitting
billions.
Billions of dollars in cap space.
$1 million.
It actually might literally be $1 million in cap space, if we're being honest.
1 million.
Yeah.
Which is
my God.
Which is like me handing you 25 cents for a gumball. So overall cap space, the Giants are $4 million over. So my guess is
to pay Saquon this year too. I can't imagine they make a splash.
I don't know. He's still in his rookie contract.
Next year, I think they have to pay him.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. At the end of this year, so I don't know that they'll lock someone in.
Well, I mean, you could. The cap space is cap space. Like you can figure out how to
imaginary.
maneuver it.
We all know that.
Yeah. It literally is
imaginary.
Imaginary.
$3 million over the cap. Like the Giants can do the same.
Yeah, I mean, New Orleans being $62 million over the cap means absolutely nothing when you're in the NFL. But a couple names that have been thrown out here on comments. Drumheller, who we had on, obviously, for our Super Bowl bets show. New England. Mark, love it. Not if Cam Newton's throwing him the football.
Well, that's kind of what I said in the chat. If they find a way to upgrade their QB situation, they now become a more desirable destination.
Josh.
So
any quarterback that was rostered at any point during the 2020 NFL season are better than both Cam Newton and Jarrett Stidham. And Brian Hoyer. Keep in mind, we employed 3 of the worst quarterbacks in the NFL last year.
And still, man,
what are we doing?
7 and 9? That's a testament to coaching.
Honestly, I think the COVID situation affected Newton a little bit more than you might think. I think Newton could have a little bit of a bounce back next year if he plays.
So I'll agree because I disagreed with Ryan a little bit on this.
Yeah, so we tried this.
Yeah.
So listen.
I saw this part. Yeah.
COVID can't help a bum shoulder. Sorry, like that.
Yeah.
Nothing. Yeah. Nothing helps a bum shoulder. And I will say this: Cam Newton from 2011 to 2015 was probably a top 5 quarterback in the NFL, and he will go down as the best running quarterback of all time.
Interestingly enough, I'm pretty sure he finished as a top 5 fantasy quarterback every year during that span as well. That was like a big thing
because the dude would score 11 touchdowns on the ground every year.
Yeah.
Like he was unstoppable. So he'll go down as one of the best running quarterbacks of all time, if not the best running quarterback of all time, just based off sheer size and volume and what he did. Since 2015, since that Super Bowl, he's only gone downhill. Every single year he's regressed. And then obviously he had 2 shoulder surgeries on his throwing shoulder.
Yeah.
He's a fantastic backup.
I would disagree to one point. His first year with North Turner, he bounced back big time.
Was that McCaffrey going over 100 receptions that year?
Yeah,
okay, that's fair. That's fair.
Which I believe is 2018.
2018, yep.
Yeah.
So that's fair. I'll grant you that. It's just
he did have a nice year.
Yeah, you can't bounce back. It was like Peyton Manning. Peyton Manning had an unbelievable bounce back year, but it caught up with him because nobody can go through 3 neck surgeries and still play football. It's like you can't go through 2 shoulder surgeries and still play football in the NFL. And that year with Norv Turner was before the shoulder surgeries as well. So he's a great locker room guy. He's a great guy to coach up young guys, which is why I think he'll be a great backup, but he won't take a backup spot. So to me, Cam Newton shouldn't be in the NFL because he shouldn't be a starter. This isn't the quarterback show. Stop bringing up Cam Newton, guys. Terrible.
Yes.
But
thanks, Mark.
Yeah, Mark, you're the worst. Jeez. Come on our show next year, though. Again, please. We love you.
Man. Oh
Sean, our buddy. We actually haven't heard from Sean in a while. Hope you're doing well, Sean. He heard an interesting take. Allen Robinson to Tennessee to replace Corey Davis. I actually don't hate that. So Tennessee, again, I'll talk cap space all day, every day. But when, at the end of the day, it doesn't really mean anything. But right now, Tennessee sitting at $5 million in cap space.
Yeah.
Obviously, they released a couple people.
There's a large report that there's just going to be a bloodbath of releases next week.
I'm sure there is. So you're looking at Allen Robinson to replace Corey Davis. Allen Robinson and A.J. Brown across from each other sounds gross. With Derek Henry in the backfield. That sounds gross. So, Hutch, you have the Henry jersey in the back. I know you say you're just a Henry fan, but A-Rob to Tennessee, how would you like that?
I would not, because I feel like they would just 50-50 split A-Rob and A.J. Brown. That would ruin both their fantasy outputs. And I just don't really think they need it. I think Corey Davis and AJ Brown are plenty fine, and I think that they should spend more money into their defense because their defense was horrific last year.
Yeah, I think from an NFL perspective, that move makes a lot of sense, but fantasy is just god awful.
Fantasy would be terrible.
I'm not even going to add to that. That was perfect analysis.
Yeah, fantasy would suck. Real life,
it'd be great.
That would be a very hard offense to stop.
They would walk through that division.
Yeah, AJ Brown is one of the most efficient wide receivers with his touches. Like, it's unbelievable how efficient he is.
And they don't need him to score touchdowns because they have Derrick Henry.
Yeah, exactly. They have Derrick Henry scoring all the touchdowns. That's right.
And don't forget, Ryan Tannehill's one read option touchdown every 3 games because defense is rightfully so sell out for the run on Derrick Henry. I would send 11 every time if the Titans had the ball on the 1. Beat me any other way. Yeah. I'm not letting Derrick Henry score the ball. Because at that point, you're kind of screwed if you're playing against Tennessee with inside the 5-yard line. It's Derrick Henry. All right. So we have a few different landing spots here for Allen Robinson. And the teams, too, that I neglected to mention that do have the biggest needs at receiver. Detroit, who just signed Tyrell Williams today, so they'll have him for week 1 and week 2. Green Bay.
Literally Green Bay would be crazy.
Yeah. Green Bay... Allen Robinson across Devontae Adams would be sweet. But again, any of these receivers. We have Green Bay, Miami, the New York Jets. They don't have anybody, essentially. Houston with Brandon Cooks. Who's throwing them the ball in Houston is the real question. Baltimore, Tennessee, who we just talked about, Philadelphia, because they always need receivers. The New York Giants, who we talked about briefly. Indianapolis, because T.Y. Hilton is a free agent. And Paris Campbell doesn't know what healthy means.
Yep.
Washington, it's Terry McLaurin in the field, and New England. Yep, that's all I'm going to say on the Patriots.
Yeah.
They literally need help everywhere, especially on offense. So I'm going to skip these 3 old guys: AJ Green, T.Y. Hilton, Larry Fitzgerald. We can kind of wrap back to them and kind of talk about them later in the show. Let's start with Will Fuller. So Fuller, obviously, the dude just seemed like he was a 100-yard-a-game magnet with a guaranteed touchdown every single game because Houston's offense blew and he was the only good part of it with Deshaun Watson. But now, Will Fuller's a free agent. Obviously, he coming off a suspension. We don't know where Deshaun Watson's going to go. If Deshaun Watson ends up getting traded, maybe Will Fuller goes and signs with that specific team he gets traded to, but let's just play the game of Deshaun Watson stays in Houston. Hutch, where would Will Fuller go that you think would be a good spot for him?
I really like Miami right now because they have Devontae Parker, who's like their physical receiver, and then they need that explosive guy. That's why I think if they wouldn't trade for Will Fuller, they need to draft Devonta Smith. They need that explosive guy in the offense that could take it all the way, or they could run a post all the way deep. I think Will Fuller is that type of guy.
Preston Williams isn't explosive? No? We don't like Preston Williams here?
No, we do not like
Preston
Williams.
Is a Parker.
I do not.
Just checking.
Yeah,
just one
basically.
check.
All right.
Just one check.
But yeah, I think Will Fuller would be a great fit in Miami. And I was also looking at the Browns because I've had a lot of problems with Odell Beckham in the Browns offense. Odell in the Browns offense has not worked, and he demands too many targets. He needs to go somewhere else. Will Fuller won't demand that many targets, but he's kind of like an OBJ player. He's very fast. He's very explosive. He can take it all the way if he wants to. He can take a couple handoffs a game, jet sweeps. I think that'd be a great fit for the Browns offense as well. But those
in
are my
that
top
scenario,
three.
you see OBJ being traded then?
Yes, OBJ would be traded.
I think that's the only way they'd be able to afford Fuller anyway.
I think it's a logical thought that Beckham would get traded anyway. You said it. I don't. There's not a fit for him in that offense. It seemed to run better with him out of the offense. So
yeah, Baker Mayfield was playing the best football of his career. He was like the QB2 in a span of a month.
Yeah. So that's perfect right there. I think Fuller's a better deep threat than Odell, just sheer speed wise.
Yeah.
The dude is a lightning bolt.
Yeah.
I don't know about hands. Odell Beckham probably still has him taken in that category, but I mean, you don't need hands when your quarterback's going to drop it in a bread basket over your shoulder. You just need to stick out your arms and let the stick 'em on your gloves do the work. Josh, I'll start with you on this one. Will Fuller, where's he going? What do you like? What don't you like?
I think Indy would be a prime spot, especially with Carson there. Carson knows how to throw the deep ball. He's got a strong arm. Obviously, we know that's Will Fuller's bread and butter. He can get down the field. I mean, we saw it with Nelson Aguilar in Philly. I mean, that was a guy that they used, and they're very similar builds. Questionable hands, speed, slider build. They can run down the field. Carson knows how to hit them. It's just a matter of can they catch it. And of course, now it's, well, can Carson actually hit them because of, the yips? But I'm going on the assumption that Frank Reich can fix Carson Wentz.
I think he can too.
If that's the case, you've got a big body receiver a la Pittman opposite someone like Fuller. If Paris Campbell's healthy, put him in the slot, that can replicate a lot of what Philly had in 2017 when they went to the Super Bowl. A speed guy on the outside, quality slot player, big body opposite.
Ryan?
And Frank Reich.
Yeah.
Frank Reich.
And Frank Reich. There you go.
Right.
Oh.
The best possible fit. It's probably not going to happen. But if we could put Will Fuller across from Devontae Adams in Green Bay, it would just be marvelous.
There were trade talks during the season.
Exactly. And you guys talked about
putting them there, but I was just like, I don't think that's realistically going to happen. There's no way.
They have to get a weapon. And my thing was, I just don't know how much money Will Fuller is going to want, because there's talent and then there's availability. And so he's going to have to balance those two when he's thinking about the kind of money he's going to ask for. And Green Bay's been crying for a weapon. I feel like this would be a great move. It was brought up during the season, but you guys also brought up, it doesn't matter how bad your hands are if you have a quarterback that can put it in the breadbasket, and there's nobody in the league that can do that as well as Aaron Rodgers. So,
that's right.
Would you give him 4 years, $65 million?
Oh, no
way.
Okay, that's what Robert Woods makes right now.
Oh my God,
there's your comparison. That's Robert Woods money. And again, we're talking about the Los Angeles Rams that
I
pay
think
anybody anything.
Honestly, I think Fuller is going to be a guy that may have to settle for like a 1 year deal or like a 2 year with an option just because of availability. Yeah, just simply because of availability. Like everybody wanted to make a big deal about, he's not injury prone and, he'll play the full season. And he was well on his way to doing that, but then got popped for PEDs. And you could make the case. I mean, I'll go back to baseball. Andy Pettitte used HGH to help himself get healthy. People use steroids to improve health. I'm not saying that that's what Fuller did. They didn't release what substance he took. It's clearly, it's an opinion base here, but
it was the first thing that
option is on the table, of course. Yeah. And he's going to miss, I believe, either the first or the first 2 games of this year because of that suspension. Yeah. So you're already down 2 games for this guy this year. So would you get the full 14 or 15, I guess now, because they're doing 17 games next year, or do you still only get 9 games? There's a lot to like about Will Fuller, but there's also a lot not to like. And I think his contract will ultimately reflect that.
And also even with the health, because I watched Will Fuller a lot. I like Will Fuller as a player, but this year he just looked stronger and he just looked like a better player, and the drugs could be something to do with that. So I feel like he might not play as well along with the health issues.
He was pacing he was pacing as a top 10 wide receiver before the suspension.
Yeah, he averaged 7.2 fantasy points per game.
Yeah, he was ridiculous. I had him on a few of my fantasy teams. I was very happy with him.
Yeah, he got you to the playoffs. He just didn't do anything for you while you were there.
No.
From one injured receiver to another injured receiver, Kenny Galladay.
Yeah.
I think it's more so feelings are hurt than actual body, but Kenny Galladay's here. What the hell is Kenny Galladay going to do? He's not going to be back in Detroit. I don't think anybody thinks he's going back to be a Lion.
Maybe not voluntarily.
Yeah.
They do have the option to franchise tag him.
Yeah.
They franchise tag him. He's not seeing the field. Not seeing the field. You're a friend. Yeah, that's stupid. Yeah, okay. Oh, I'm going to go out and play with Jared Goff. Sure you are, buddy. Okay. So with Kenny Galladay. He's another guy when he's healthy. You could argue he's a top 10 receiver, top
NFL
15 receiver. Yeah, NFL receiver. I mean, he was being drafted as a top 10 fantasy football receiver going into last year.
And he was super consistent before he got hurt. He's just a very consistent, always gets the targets, always catches the ball.
Yeah, I mean,
a lot. He's very consistent.
There was a game, he had 6 targets, 6 catches. Every single one of them was either in double coverage or someone was draped on his back. He had 6 catches for like 100+ yards and 2 touchdowns. His 50-50 balls are more 99-1. The dude comes down with most everything that's thrown his way. So, really, really good opportunity for him. Coming off an injury, probably going to have to take less money. But, Hutch, I'll start with you again. Kenny Galladay, what's the best fit?
I think it's the Colts. The Colts we've been saying, we've all said it, the Colts are in need of a receiver very badly. And I think Carson can throw it deep to Galladay. Galladay can come down with it, even though Carson might like throw it off, like way off, and he could still come down with it because he's just that good. And he catches everything that's thrown at him. I think he'd be a great fit in the Colts offense with Jonathan Taylor and Carson Wentz as their other 2 options.
All right, Ryan?
I had it down to 2 spots because the one thing I put was Detroit is still a new landing spot for him, new coach, new quarterback, and I don't love that for him at all. I'm actually not a big fan of Kenny Galladay, but best use of his talent, I'd actually like to see him either in Vegas with Derek Carr, throws a very accurate deep ball, and they could have some fun together, depending on how much Gruden wants to open that offense up, or especially with the Golden Tate cut. And Josh actually drew my attention to this with talking about it's time to get a real wide receiver 1 in there. I think Galladay could play that Des Bryant role in Garrett's offense perfectly. And I think that'd be a great fit for what they're looking to do with their offense.
Josh?
I'd like to see him in New York too, but on the other side of the stadium. I think he'd be a good fit with the Jets.
Jets, yeah.
But mostly because Josh knows nobody on Philly can cover him twice a year.
You're assuming Rashad Perriman.
But hey, Darius Slay went up against Kenny Galladay a lot in practice, so maybe he knows a few things. But yeah, no,
Darius Slay looked like a world beater last year.
Oh, stop. We're not going to talk about how he could.
Darius Slay looked like. Listen, I have a signed Darius Slay Mississippi State jersey. I am a big Darius Slay fan. Dude looked like garbage last year.
Yeah, it was not bad.
You want to know why?
That Devontae Adams stiff arm against him was ridiculous. When he just pushed his face mask and just went in the end zone, that was savage.
Yeah, like
I'm gonna hope
Ryan,
it was just Jim Schwartz's defense and not Slay's dumb.
No, do you want to know what it was? He put on an Eagles uniform and forgot what football was. That's what every DB does.
Yeah, we haven't had a good corner since
Asante Samuel.
Asante Samuel.
Every DB that puts on it. Well, I should say not D, because Malcolm Jenkins was good. I was a fan of Malcolm Jenkins.
Malcolm Jenkins was great.
Every cornerback that puts on an Eagles jersey forgets what the term healthy means, and also has never played football before. They revert to being 4 years old. They don't know what the game is. They're confused on what the ball is.
Hey, we got a new defensive coordinator. White slate clean.
It's all good now.
What is it all
matters?
What does it all matter when Nick Sirianni is just going to make it hard for the offense, but easy at the same time, but also make it super complicated for the defense so that no one knows what they're doing? What does it matter, right? Nick Sirianni, the next greatest coach of all time.
I guess we'll find out. So anyway, back to my Galladay to the Jets.
Giants.
Obviously, they've got plenty of cap space. They need weapons. You know, they tried some stopgaps with Brashad Perriman. Jamison Crowder could very well be a cap casualty. They drafted Denzel Mims, who also bigger body, quick. Do they roll with Sam Darnold?
Fantasy, right?
Not both, honestly, real life and fantasy, because you bring in Mike LaFleur. You bring in Mike LaFleur, the passing game coordinator with the 49ers. He's now the offensive coordinator with the Jets. This is all the same type of tree. They're going to run the football, but they need that wide receiver 1. A.J. Brown is that for Tennessee with Arthur Smith, and Corey Davis had a 30-some-odd% target share when Matt LaFleur was the offensive coordinator there. We saw what Devontae Adams did in Matt LaFleur's offense in Green Bay. We've seen what Julio Jones was like in Kyle Shanahan's offense in Atlanta. These types of offenses need a legitimate wide receiver one to feed targets to. I don't know that Denzel Mims is ready to take that leap yet. He could be. We don't know because he was inconsistent in and out of the lineup last year. Health issues, and obviously Sam Darnold sucks. Do they end up going with a Zach Wilson, Justin Fields at the 102 in this year's draft? Do they hang on to Sam Darnold and see what he can do with Mike LaFleur? I don't know. But I think when you're looking at, are they going to be bad and throw the football? I think the answer is pretty much yes in that front. Yeah. So they have an opportunity there. Galladay has never seen more than 120 targets in a year. Most people, I don't think, realize that. But he can get down the field. I think his career average is almost 16 yards per reception. He's had a double-digit touchdown season two seasons ago. This is a guy that could very easily get you 8 touchdowns, 1,000 yards if he's healthy, even on a bad team. I mean, the Bears weren't great last year. Allen Robinson was a top 10 wide receiver. We see it all the time. So I think it can work both in real life and in fantasy.
Ryan?
Yeah.
Go ahead, Hutch.
Go ahead.
I have a little bit of disagree with you in fantasy because I feel like if they were to keep all the receivers, which I think is unlikely, if they were to let go of the couple of receivers, I think it's great. But if they were to keep on Jamison Crowder, Brashon Perriman, and Denzel Mims, I feel like that'd be bad for Kenny Galladay.
Josh hates Jamison Crowder and insists.
It's not that I hate him. He's just he can't stay healthy. This goes all the way back to his Washington days. He can't stay healthy.
It is, yeah. Yeah, he has some health problems. You're right.
He hates him. I've been bringing
annoying little pest.
Been bringing up Jamison Crowder for the last 3 weeks, and all of a sudden Hutch brings him up, and he's like, "Oh, I don't hate him."
Oh my god.
You know what slot receiver in that offense does stay healthy?
Josh, it's okay.
Braxton Barrios.
Braxton
Barrios.
He plays 2 games. Yeah. I don't want to hear it.
Braxton Barrios. Look out.
Get
him in dynasty.
Oh, yeah. Watch out.
Adam Gase isn't there. Slot receivers don't freaking matter.
Whole new offense. I know.
Yeah. Get him in dynasty while he's cheap, folks. Number 10, Braxton Barrios.
There you go, baby.
Your local punt returner for your New York Football Jets.
Football.
Shut up.
New York Football Giants.
I love that they say the New York Football Giants to differentiate from the San Francisco Giants.
Yes.
Like we wouldn't know.
If you know your baseball history, Joe, that San Francisco Giants used to play in New York.
Okay. I don't care.
That's where
Oh my God, I thought Joe was joking. I had no idea that you didn't know that.
No, I had no clue.
Oh
yes, that's where that's all.
That was before teams migrated west. The Dodgers once played in Brooklyn.
Jackie Robinson. Thanks, Josh. Yep. Thank you. Knew that one. Thanks. Yeah.
I figured you knew that.
The old Polo Grounds, baby. That was the home for the Giants.
Oh, Polo Grounds. 220 down the left field line, 550 to dead center.
Oh, you know the Polo Grounds, but you didn't know the...
Yes, Polo Grounds is the greatest baseball field ever not named Fenway Park. The pure structure and science behind that. Who thought that was a good field?
They took what they were given. They weren't having stadiums built. They literally were polo grounds.
I said, I'm like, if you were a pull hitter back in the 40s, like, how good was your life? 220 down the left or right field line?
Yeah, it's crazy.
Woo!
I mean, stadiums back in those days, they didn't even have fences because people didn't hit home runs.
Unless you were Babe Ruth.
That's right.
Big baby Babe.
Yeah. And before him, it was Frank Home Run Baker.
Sure.
Frank, you mean Frank Thomas from the Nugenics commercials?
Right. of Nugenics fame.
Frank Thomas and Doug Flutie?
Look up Frank Home Run Baker, okay?
You mean Frank Thomas and Doug Flutie, mostly known for their Nugenics commercials, not known for their...
I love that Joe is finally pulling out references that someone else on the show has no idea who we're talking about.
There you go. Thank you, Tommy.
Hutch, they consistently pull out old man references that I don't get.
Yeah.
So
I'm not a huge fan of baseball either. Football, I'm one sport guy, really.
So am I. Yes,
I'm a fan of baseball. I don't care to know that the New York Giants were once a football team or a baseball team. Excuse me.
Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. Who's next?
I don't know. Ryan, are you the host of the show? Don't tell me what to do. Get out of here. Get out of here with that. All right. Last two big names, really. The two slot receivers. Chris Godwin and local TikTok star Juju Smith-Schuster. If you missed that, he was playing tug of war with a lion.
Yes.
Juju was trying to pull a lion through a fence.
And succeeded.
He was very far from succeeding.
Oh my God.
Oh God. Just be a TikTok star. Juju, best real life landing spot on the internet. The dude should not be in the NFL. Should not be in the NFL. But we'll talk about him. Chris Godwin and Juju Smith-Schuster. We'll rope them into one conversation here because these are the top two slot receivers.
Yeah.
We'll just go. I'm going to go through Godwin quick. Does anyone believe he leaves Tampa Bay?
No, I think they'll find a way.
I don't think so either.
Okay.
Yeah, Godwin, personally.
He's definitely said he wants a lot of money. So if the Bucks aren't willing to pay him, they'll let him go.
Yeah.
He said he's not giving any hometown discount.
Okay, Chris. Make some catches in the playoffs, then we can talk about, getting actually paid. I don't see him leaving Tampa Bay either. I think it would be stupid of him to leave Tampa Bay, considering he
already got his ring. At this point, get his money.
Why not get another ring and then get your money?
That's not how players
I'd rather
work.
have money. I'd rather have money in one ring than 2 rings and no money.
There you go.
No. Okay. No money. Let's be clear that we're calling what?
Yeah. Sorry,
8 million a year. No money.
No money.
Maybe he can't. Maybe he can't
again,
play.
Chris Godwin wasn't a first-round pick.
Maybe he can't buy a lion to play tug of war with.
Contract. And I think that's really the big difference when you see these guys that were picked in the second, third, fourth rounds, etc. Their total value contracts were barely $1 million, which again, I'm not saying is cheap by any means.
God, I hate being drafted in the third round and getting paid $3.2 million over the course of my NFL career.
You should be making 8 figures a year. That's just how sports
work. I'm not saying he doesn't deserve to get paid. I'm just saying if you can take less money to play another year with Tom Brady and possibly win another ring, why not?
And what happens if you get hurt? And now you don't have that security because
we're not asking him to take no money.
No, I understand that. You're asking him to take a shorter term deal.
Yep.
For less money.
Yep.
Why shorter term?
Because if it's long term, he's not going to get paid. We saw this with Antonio Brown. He took a value deal and then became the best wide receiver in football. And then the Steelers said, well, you signed a contract. We're not going to pay you.
I understand that.
That's the point I'm getting at. So why should he sacrifice that? Players want rings. I get it. He got his ring. His definition, he's not going to be defined by, receivers aren't defined by greatness because they have 5-6 championship rings the way quarterbacks are. Receivers compile stats, plain and simple. Regardless of whether he wins 1 ring, 8 rings, 2 rings, 0 rings. It's all about, I need to get my money and I'm going to go and perform, plain and simple. He got his ring, now get his money.
Where's he going to get better stats than playing with Tom Brady?
He could get him in a lot of different places.
That can give him the bag.
How many years does Tom Brady have left?
1.
7. I mean, honestly, what do we
I think he honestly might have. I think he has 3 left. I seriously think he has 3 left of football.
Are we going to start the Tom Brady falling off a damn cliff right now again?
I think it's
no, we're not.
Let's not even get into that.
Thank you, Hutch.
I'm not saying I'm going to bet against Tom Brady. He's proven us wrong. But at a certain point, Father Time is undefeated.
It's just
when Brady's time is up, it's not. None of us are going to see it coming. None of us. And then we're all going to be like, why didn't they get out early?
We're never going to see
who's his backup? Blaine Gabbert? Really?
He's
not going to get stats in Tampa if Blaine Gabbert's his quarterback.
You mean former first-round pick Blaine Gabbert? Excuse me, sir.
Who was it that I don't remember who in the organization just said they think Gabbert could be the future? I don't remember who it was.
Oh my God! No way.
Yeah,
no one said.
They
said that.
I'll look it up. But my favorite, I said I think it was actually. I joked that it was actually a threat that they're like, Blaine Gabbert could be the future, so we better fix this. Like, we just all took it out of context. But no, someone, I don't think it was Arians or Leftwich, but someone said Gabbert could be the future. It was ridiculous.
So I've been scrolling through the top paid wide receivers right now, just looking at, how much they make and if they've won a ring. I've gotten to wide receiver 70 on the list, who goes by the name of Matthew Slater. From Matthew Slater to Amari Cooper, 3 guys have won rings.
That's what I'm saying.
Two
wide
of them.
Wide receivers don't win. Like, when you're a high paid wide receiver, you don't win a ring. He won a ring on a cheap contract. Now it's time to get paid because he's not going to win any more rings.
Well, he actually is. If he signs with Tampa Bay again, he'll win.
And doesn't make money like he should as a top upper echelon wide receiver, which is what Chris Godwin is.
Yes, he's an upper echelon receiver. He deserves that kind of money.
Those 5 touchdown drops in the playoffs might really.
I just don't know what team. I don't know what team can afford to pay him.
Miami. That's where I think he goes.
Miami.
If I'm Miami or Jacksonville, I'm pursuing the hell out of Chris Godwin.
I would love Jacksonville. Miami less because Chris Godwin isn't as explosive, and they need that explosive kind of guy.
Jacksonville's interesting with Lawrence coming in.
Imagine
Lawrence coming in. DJ Chark is their speed deep threat guy, and then
Godwin underneath.
Chris Godwin is their slot guy coming in, taking consistent.
And then they can use Chenault to do everything wide receiver.
Yeah, Chenault would be great with. Chenault and Godwin would be great together.
Imagine going from Super Bowl winner Tampa Bay Buccaneers across the state, drive up I-4 and up I-95 3.5 hours just to go be 4-12 under Urban Meyer.
That's right.
Imagine. Wow. What a sad life that would be for Chris Godwin.
I'm saying teams, they find themselves in cap hell when they pay multiple players big bucks at the same position. They already have Mike Evans making a ton of money at wide receiver.
Yeah.
Realistically, you cannot afford that without making sacrifices at other key positions. It's just that simple.
Your entire offensive line and defense is under contract.
Yeah, and now you sign Chris Godwin, you're going to have to make adjustments. You're going to have to cut people, plain and simple.
Yeah. Well,
you sign Chris Godwin, you can't bring back Shaq Barrett.
I say, isn't Levante David a free agent as well?
Okay.
Yeah, he is, right?
Devin White. Like, what? Guys, Tampa is loaded. That defense is sick.
I actually think Tampa is going to fall off.
Loaded.
Sue and JPP are another year older. I don't know that it's going to go as well as people think it is.
Loaded.
Man.
Loaded.
I don't think so, man.
Ryan, remember when you said Patrick Mahomes was going to have a good Super Bowl? How'd that work out?
Didn't work out great.
Didn't work out great.
I forgot about offensive lines. Still a thing.
Yeah.
Who said you want to know whose offensive line is intact? The Tampa Bay Buccaneers offensive line.
Of course.
So you want to know who has a bad offensive line? The Jacksonville Jaguars. So I'm just saying, right? Like, I'm just saying. You'd be dumb to not re-sign in Tampa Bay. They have $24 million in cap space right now. Sign Chris Godwin to $10 million a year and backload the contract.
There's no way Godwin's going to take that.
I would take $10 million a year. Yes.
Godwin is not going to take that.
3 years, $10 million. The dude's 25. He still has a chance to sign a big contract at 28. What did Allen Robinson do after his rookie deal? Who did he sign with? The Bears.
He signed because he got hurt.
No, yeah, he got everything fell apart for him.
I'm sorry. Was Chris Godwin healthy all last year?
No, but not not missed the year with an ACL tear. Like,
yeah.
Okay.
Hey, Rob.
He had a few small injuries that kept keeping him out.
Yeah.
Okay. Chris Godwin.
Yeah.
Injury prone.
No.
Stop.
Bad drops. Bad drops in crucial moments. I'm sorry. From 2019 to 2020, he didn't improve. If anything, he flatlined or went down. You can't tell me otherwise.
Probably the step back at quarterback.
Yeah, huge step back at quarterback. Yeah. Giant
well, I mean, James Winston threw for like 5,000 yards and 30 touchdowns.
Yeah,
like, I mean,
way better than Tom Brady.
He also threw 30 interceptions.
Was it? Hold on. I was listening to a radio. I was listening to a radio show. Oh, it was the Boston Sports Radio show, and someone called in saying that they would like Jameis Winston to be a New England Patriot. And in my head, I'm like, I wouldn't hate it. And then they went through and looked at how many turnovers Jameis Winston had in 2019. Okay. He had 30 interceptions, and I think he fumbled the football 16 times.
I thought it was 12.
He did. He fumbled the ball a lot.
He led the league in fumbles.
Yeah.
Led the league.
Daniel Jones played that year.
Yeah. Daniel Jones played that year. That's a lot, man.
Daniel Jones averaged 1.5 fumbles a game, which is terrible. But imagine Jameis Winston. I think he had. We'll call it 12 fumbles. We'll just say the best he could have possibly done was 12 fumbles. That's 42 turnovers in 16 games. He averaged basically 2 3/4 turnovers per game.
That's ridiculous.
That's unreal.
That'll go over fantastic with Belichick.
Oh my!
That's just hard to do.
It is, and he should be paid for that.
Like you physically have to try to turn the ball over that many times. Like it's not even like.
I feel like at this stage, Belichick just wants a challenge, right? If he can win with Jameis Winston turning the ball over, tell me that's not the greatest.
If Belichick just wants to prove to Tom Brady that he still won the battle between Tom Brady and Belichick. He still wants to win. So he's going to take Jameis Winston and try to make him better.
I say he has fallen far back in that race right now.
Yeah.
Man.
You can't call the race after 1 year because it's really hard for a coach to bounce back in 1 year.
And all their defensive pieces were gone too.
Yes.
The Patriots, a lot of them opted out.
And I will say that team should not have gone 7-9 last year. They probably should have been 4-12. That team was horrendous.
That's right. Because Cam Newton was throwing the ball, right?
When you have a guy like Cam Newton, he's just going to win 3 games on his own. So.
God.
Yeah.
Oh, God. The one game Cam Newton could have won us was in Buffalo in that.
Oh yeah, that was bad.
D-bag fumble. Oh my God! I almost flipped my ottoman over. I was so angry at that game. All Cam Newton. Stop bringing up Cam Newton. Who's doing it? I don't like it.
I don't know.
I think this time you brought him up, Joe.
That was Hutch.
That was me. That was me.
All right, Hutch.
I fought, guys.
No more. No longer. You're not getting the invite again.
No,
You're done. No, I'm kidding. No, this has been fun. All right, what do we got? 47 minutes. We got plenty of time.
Yeah, we got Juju.
Yeah, we have Juju.
I love that last segment started with. This is going to be really quick about Chris Godwin.
Yeah, and then
we went on forever.
Listen.
And then
you
Hutch
morons decided to do nonsense, so I had to come in.
Oh my God, we went on forever.
All right, Juju. What are we doing with Juju, Hutch? What's he doing?
I like Juju. I wish he could stay in Pittsburgh. I still like him in Pittsburgh with Deontay Johnson and Chase Claypool as their two kind of speedier guys, and Juju's taking up the slot position. I would like him there, but I don't think he's going to stay there for longer. So I would like Jacksonville and Philly. Those are my probably 2 top spots for him. Okay. They both need receivers badly, and Jacksonville with the slot position, they need one badly.
Nice.
To pair with Laviska Shenault.
I would not want to see Juju in Philly. Okay. No offense, Hutch.
No?
No. I'm not a huge Juju fan. I'm not. He needs a legit. I don't know where to go. He needs a legit number 1 to benefit from, because if he gets all the attention, he's going to be an absolute bust. Absolutely.
I mean, the Eagles could they have Dallas Goedert, they have Jalen Reagor, they have a few other pieces that they could focus on a little bit more, and then have Juju be less focused on. They could do that. I don't think Juju could be the main part of an offense at all. I don't think that's really possible anymore.
No, for me, it's always been he's either going to go out west, back home to LA, but I don't see him going with the Chargers because they have Keenan Allen, and the Rams have already spent all their money on wide receivers. Like if they hadn't re-signed Kupp, I'd be like, all right, Juju's a perfect fit, but right now I just don't see that happening. So I think Miami would make sense just from him wanting to be able to build a brand, have a position there. I mean, Miami's a media market.
Miami. Yeah. He wouldn't get any sleep.
I know he wouldn't.
Miami.
But you said he wants to be an internet star. He can do that in Miami.
Okay, so quit football.
And I know the Raiders have been linked to him as well. And
Sean got this one right in the chat.
Yeah.
That's Raiders, the one I've been saying. So,
Raiders are a good one too.
The last time we had Stoner on the show, we talked about this, and because Stoner brought up he wants to go back west, and we brought up the 2 LA teams don't work. Vegas is not a long drive from LA, and if I'm trying to be a TikTok star, there's a lot going on in Vegas.
Again, another spot where he would literally get no sleep.
There you go.
Yeah,
I got plenty of sleep when I lived in Vegas. I'm just saying. You can sleep. You just got to avoid the limelight. So.
Josh and Juju Smith-Schuster probably live pretty similar lifestyles.
if we had to compare the two, I honestly think Josh's bartending gig at the Red Lobster is about roughly what Juju Smith-Schuster does on a day-to-day basis.
It's definitely the
like 2 peas in a pod.
Just the pay differences, I think, is the only real variable between their two lives. Is Juju gets paid millions of dollars to dance on logos, and Josh gets tips to dance on. Do you dance at Red Lobster? Is that a thing?
I don't.
You don't dance at Red Lobster.
I don't think that's a
this
thing.
is not Coyote Ugly, Joe.
It's not Coyote Ugly. Okay.
But no, in all honesty, you got Edwards, who is made to play the outside if he's going to be a thing.
Yep.
You have Henry Ruggs, who I don't think is going to work in the slot. I think he's going to work better as a Tyreek Hill, move around the field, start on the outside. Juju fits into that slot role. We make a joke every year of how Derek Carr would like to just dump the pass off to begin with.
Can we bring up my favorite Derek Carr stat again?
Yes, let's go ahead.
My favorite Derek Carr stat. So, Hutch, I don't know if you know this one. All right. So, to all our new listeners and old listeners,
Derek Carr stats.
Oh, you want to hear a great one? All right.
Yeah, I'd love to hear one.
This was back when Amari Cooper was still a Raider. I think this was Amari Cooper's last game as a Raider.
Okay.
It was over in London against the Seattle Seahawks, I believe.
All right.
Derek Carr's average air yards per pass was 0.1. 0.1. His average air yards per pass was 0.1. Literally the lowest it could be without going in the negatives.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
That's
basically
unreal.
Big Ben this year.
Oh my God. It is.
Big Ben was throwing like 1 yard in front of him every time.
It is by far
That's so stupid.
Outside of EJ Manuel being the only quarterback to throw an interception in 4 different countries, the Derek Carr stat is probably my next favorite stat. Yeah, single-handedly.
I've never heard that before. That's hilarious. Dude.
Unbelievable. One of my favorite stats ever. And the EJ Manuel stat's even better.
It was just for that one game, right?
One game.
London?
Yes,
just one game. Okay.
Yeah. I don't care about any of the other games. I'm just going to talk about that one game
That was
4 years ago.
So ridiculous.
Unreal. Absolutely. I mean,
so since we're talking about average depth of target, Joe, Juju among wide receivers playing 25% of snaps, Juju had the 6th lowest ADOT among wide receivers.
What was it, like 2 yards?
6.02, actually.
2 yards.
That goes back to what Hutch was saying, though, is that Ben wouldn't throw the ball deep. So
yeah.
Well, if he tried, it would go out of bounds.
Yeah.
Oddly enough, you know who had the lowest?
Who had the lowest? Was it Deontay Johnson?
Debo Samuel.
Oh,
Debo Samuel, yeah.
Oh, that makes sense because there was the one game with Nick Mullins where they had 0 air yards.
Yeah.
So.
Just real quick for Sean. Yes, Sean, he threw an interception in America, Mexico, the United Kingdom, and Canada.
Canada, when they did the Buffalo game up there.
He has played one game in Canada, one game in England, one game in Mexico, and he has thrown at least one interception in all of those countries. And then obviously in America, he threw too many to even play in the NFL, which is why he's no longer there. So the pride of Florida State, EJ Manuel. Right? That's where he went? FSU?
He wasn't even great in college. I don't even know how he was a first round pick, but whatever.
Yeah.
All right,
I barely have heard of EJ Manuel.
But yes, he was.
You're not missing anything, Hutch.
Okay.
All right.
That doesn't sound like it.
Don't go look him up.
I want you to imagine Cam Newton, but like 7 years ago. So Cam Newton now, just 7 years ago.
And way overweight.
And yes, in fact.
No offense to EJ Manuel. I'm a fat guy too. Not a good look on an NFL quarterback.
Oh, no. Oh my God.
Not like Jamarcus Russell big, but like big enough to where you're like, all right, we can lay off the Happy Meals.
There, buddy.
Yeah, we can
lay off the Happy.
Yeah, we lay off the Happy Meals. Like, yeah. But yes, EJ Manuel. It's one of my favorite stats. All right, let's talk about some of these other guys here. I think one of the most intriguing names is Curtis Samuel. Personally, I think he's one of the most intriguing names because he can do a mixture. He's a jack of all trades, master of none. Essentially, he does everything.
I think he's a pretty good route runner.
He's a great route, but again,
he's a nice route runner.
But it's like, okay, so route runner's great. He's a good deep threat, solid middle guy, can catch screens, take it to the house.
Jet sweeps.
Yeah, jet sweep. Again, he
played running back in college, so
he does everything proficiently, but nothing outside of route running, which is obviously a huge part of it. But like being a deep threat or being a consistent short route guy, he doesn't do anything consistently crazy where you're like, okay, I need him on my team, but he does everything. So where's a team, Hutch, that could utilize him from a fantasy perspective that can have him kind of have his hand in everything, but also, get enough touches and be efficient enough to actually be maybe even a low-end wide receiver 2 in fantasy football?
I mean, I don't think this quarterback's going to be a very good passer next year. But again, I'm going back to Philly because when Jalen Hurts started taking over, they started giving Rager some jet sweeps and they started like doing some nice screen passes. They started being a little more creative in the offense, and I feel like Curtis Samuel would fit right there with that where Jalen Rager was at the end of the year last year.
With Philly's $40 million over the cap, Hutch wants
that'd be tough.
Curtis Samuel, Allen Robinson. And Juju Smith. No, I'm just pushing your button.
I'm not saying that it's like.
I think you should say or instead of and.
Yeah, and he wants all of them.
In my notes. Go ahead.
I'm not saying that's going to happen, but like.
No, obviously not.
It like if they had some money to do it, I think it'd be nice for him to be there.
I say in my notes, Green Bay kept
happen.
In my notes, Green Bay kept coming up, and I'm like, I understand all these guys are not going to Green Bay. Yeah,
Green Bay would be nice, but yeah, there's no way there was going to Green Bay. Green Bay doesn't like having a second receiver.
Ryan wants
Devontae Adams or bust.
Yeah, Devontae Adams or nothing.
I actually do want Will Fuller in Green Bay more than anything. That's my big one.
That's probably number one in Green Bay for me too.
No, for Samuel, I'm going to go back to a team, and he would actually pair well with Josh's pick of if Galladay and Samuel both ended up with the Jets. The one thing interesting about Samuel is,
really nice.
15% of his points, fantasy points, came from rushing last year. And San Fran runs a system that we saw with Deebo Samuel and then even Brandon Ayuk last year, where they will run their wide receivers to where I feel like Samuel retains his rushing value if he ends up on a team like that. So Samuel for me, but obviously he's not a 1. But if Samuel ended up with the Jets with a guy like Will Fuller or a guy like Kenny Galladay, I think it'd be an amazing fit.
And as of right now, this is most likely going to change because the Jets are number 2 in cap space. The Jets have LaMichael Pirine employed at running back, so they don't have anyone in the backfield.
They could upgrade that a little bit.
Yeah, I mean the odds are they will most likely go out and get a guy maybe for like 3 years, 15 million, 2 years, 10.
Guy. I don't think they'll sign
James Conner.
We had Tate on last week. She thinks Connor's right back in Pittsburgh.
Oh, a report recently came out.
I saw that.
Pittsburgh's off of Connor. So
yeah.
Oh yeah. I mean. I think James Conner be maybe a good little rental in New York.
It opens
and
back
I think
up
that's
the door
ultimately what the Jets will do. Like they'll sign a rental at running back, they'll draft another guy and let Pirine, the rookie, and whoever they sign as the stopgap just
battle it out.
Go.
Yeah.
And I would honestly want to see Pirine, and I want to see the Jets give him an opportunity because I felt like when he was there, I actually think he didn't do that bad. I feel like he deserves at least a chance.
I mean.
Wasn't he a rookie last year, right?
I say, and it's so hard to judge last year's rookies because there were no preseason games at all. So.
There's none.
But What is it? Just run outside zone to the left side every time and have 6'8" Mekhi Becton just run with his arms wide open.
Common sense play calling from Adam Gaze? I
know, right?
Yeah, Gaze.
Come on, Joe.
Like if
Adam Gaze.
We spent all season bagging Adam Gase, and now you want to ignore him. Like, come on.
Like who's you said Mike LaFleur, correct? Is now the new OC there.
Yeah.
If I'm Mike LaFleur, every running play is outside zone or sweep left, and Mekhi Becton is running like this. That's all he's doing. That's because
he's the WWE clothesline blocks. That's what these are.
He's going to take up 7 yards himself. Oh, and he's 350 pounds running like a 4.8.
Yeah.
What?
Ridiculous.
Like
that's ridiculous.
Physical specimen. Like just run. There's not a single person outside of a D lineman that is going to be able to stand up to him. So just have him run forward. Ugh. He's going to keep up with the running back. Like he truly is. So I agree, Hutch. I think P. Ryan should get a shot. But then you have some short-term guy options like Rashad Higgins, Brashad Perryman, John Ross, Tyrell Williams, who has already signed Cordero Patterson. This is your yearly reminder. Cordero Patterson's the best kick returner in NFL history. Don't at me.
Yeah.
This is your yearly reminder. Thank you, Hutch. Thanks for the immediate agreement.
Yeah, I would agree with you.
I want to bring up something about
This guy.
Brashad Perryman.
Yeah.
Right here. Go ahead, Brian.
Not a big fan of Brashad Perryman, but there's an interesting story behind all of this that if we want to play the read the tea leaves game that I hate so much.
But we're going to play it anyway.
There was a report that Cleveland is interested in Perriman. I'm from Northeast Ohio. Exactly. He was there, signed a deal with Cleveland. Mm-hmm. Cleveland traded for Odell Beckham immediately, and Perriman asked out of his deal and was granted it. If Cleveland is interested in Perriman, knowing that history, that has to mean they plan on moving on from Beckham, right? So, it was immediately. So that, to go back to Hutch's point earlier, the tea leaves are starting to lean towards OBJ being out of Cleveland. So
let's go. Brashad Perriman back there. Number 1 receiver. Woo. Yeah. Brashad Perriman. It's not a fantasy asset.
Yeah. Even if Perriman was replacing Odell, I still think Landry would be the number 1, right?
Oh yeah.
You guys agree?
Landry's the target hog.
And Baker and Rashard Higgins actually have a great relationship. So I think if OBJ was gone, I think that guarantees Higgins is back.
Higgins is back.
Well, so
Higgins is
he signed late last year, if I'm not mistaken.
Yeah. I think Higgins is back regardless. I don't think he goes anywhere.
Yeah, there seems to be a lot of loyalty between them. So
yeah, I don't think anyone's dying for Rashad Higgins, and Baker Mayfield loves him. So if your quarterback loves a receiver, you tend to keep him. Yep. Doesn't matter how low he is on the roster, you tend to keep him.
I'm curious to know or to get an idea of where you guys think Marvin Jones ends up.
Hutch, start with you because I don't remember what I have in my notes.
I don't do research, so I'm gonna look while Hutch talks.
I didn't really look at Marvin Jones much either. But man, you put me on the spot here. Dang. I think this is definitely not gonna happen, but Green Bay would be nice. I think Green Bay would be nice. I think
a deep threat to Green Bay makes sense though, to where
and that's what Marvin Jones is. Yeah.
What about
and we talk a lot about how these free agents like to stay in division. That actually makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
So.
What about Washington opposite McLaurin?
Be good.
I think that'd be a really nice.
That'd be a nice one.
We haven't brought up Washington yet. And I mean, you have if Logan Thomas continues on the trajectory that he is continuing on, he looks to be not a top flight fantasy tight end, but a top flight guy who can play well in the NFL. So
I actually had that in my notes too, but there was one caveat. Ryan Fitzpatrick has to sign. So because you need a strong arm guy to get Jones the ball like that.
Taylor, mathematician Heineke.
No. Just no.
Goated status.
I actually put
Heineke.
This was actually the only team I had Cleveland, or only player I had Cleveland with in my notes. So I think Jones to Cleveland could be a fun one because they don't have a player like that on roster. So
that'd be good. What if again back to Washington? What if they drafted Mac Jones? Because I've seen him drafted to Washington a lot.
Yeah. You mean a Nick Saban quarterback? Oh, it's just another bust.
Bust. I'm not big rookie guy. Josh is better with this than I am. But from what I've seen with Mac Jones, I think
I'm not a huge rookie guy either.
Josh,
from like college and stuff.
Josh, I saw you shaking your head in disappointment.
Oh my God.
Name me one good Nick Saban quarterback in the NFL.
You act like a defensive guy is coaching up these quarterbacks. Let's be honest here.
Josh,
he went out and had a better statistical season than Tua, and Tua was top 5.
Josh, he had a better statistical season than Joe Burrow.
Yeah,
that's right.
Exactly.
Is Mac Jones better than Joe Burrow?
No,
yes.
I'm not saying that Mac Jones is
shut
better.
up down there in your little corner.
I'm not saying that Mac Jones is better just because he put up better stats. What I'm saying is that we shouldn't discount them simply because of the program they are in. There are outliers everywhere.
I will. 100%.
Who has Texas Tech produced?
Nobody.
Okay, and now look at Patrick Mahomes.
Okay.
Outlier. There you go.
Okay.
It only takes one, Joe. That's what I'm saying. It only takes one. Plain and simple.
Okay. Yeah. And at roulette, if you keep betting the same number and it doesn't hit, do you continue betting that number or do you change to a different number? Your odds are in your favor to hit on saying a guy is not going to make it when consistently.
Well, what do you think drafting is? Drafting is roulette, dude. It's a gamble. Nobody is guaranteed success at the next level. No one.
I understand.
No one.
Yeah, I understand.
So you're betting on and evaluating the prospect.
Yeah, just to answer Hutch's question,
which they come from.
I don't want a rookie there. I want a veteran with a strong arm. I feel like they have enough youth all around in that offense. They need a veteran quarterback.
Yeah, I'd probably agree with you. I was just seeing if you might
it's a good
change your mind about it.
Both. Truthfully, you need both because Washington needs.
Well,
why they drafted Dwayne Haskins.
I'm saying if you bring in Ryan Fitzpatrick, you definitely need to draft a quarterback.
That's what I'm saying. Like any veteran you bring in, unless you trade the world for Deshaun Watson, whoever you bring in, you need to draft a quarterback. It doesn't necessarily need to be in the first round. They spent a 4th round pick on Kirk Cousins. He's turned out okay. He's been a serviceable starter in the NFL.
I'm not even looking at mock drafts at this point, is because Washington has a bottom 12 pick because they made the playoffs, right?
I think they have the 10th pick, right?
No, they have the 19th.
Whatever.
They probably have the best playoff. They have the best playoff.
Yeah.
Shoot.
Yeah,
19, 20, 21 or something.
Is Mac Jones projected to fall that
way
far?
off. That was way off.
Mac Jones.
Everything, dude, I've seen quarterbacks ranging from all 5 in the top 10 to guys like Mac Jones and Trey Lance, and I've even seen some mock drafts where Justin Fields makes it past 15.
What?
Yeah.
I've seen that too.
Quarterbacks right now are all over the board. Yeah, all over the board.
I've seen Justin Fields go drafted to Pittsburgh.
Yeah.
Which is
so
ridiculous.
I think based on what I've seen, the consensus top 3 at quarterback in some way, shape, or form, in whatever order you want to put them in, are Trevor Lawrence, Justin Fields, and Zach Wilson.
Okay.
Yeah.
I think really those are the consensus 3. I think you're going to see a lot of people make a case for Trey Lance, but I think it's a lot of the out of sight, out of mind. He only played 1 game in 2020 because the FCS, they basically pushed their entire season to the spring. So South Dakota State is just now.
Right now.
Yeah, they're playing right now. And obviously Lance is like, well, I'm just going to prepare for the draft instead of risking injury. So, and I think that's the biggest thing. But when you look at Trey Lance's 2019, 28 touchdowns, 0 interceptions.
Wow.
And he was
he was the guy with
redshirt freshman, I believe, when he did that. Like, I understand it's the FCS, but that's not easy.
Skill is skill.
Exactly. Yeah. So, and some people will say, oh, he's more of a runner than a passer, et cetera. I'm like, well, in this day and age, you need to have some sort of athleticism at the quarterback position. Like, you don't, most quarterbacks nowadays, unless you're Tom Brady, because he's just the GOAT, they're not statues in the backfield anymore. You need to be able to move around. So, if Trey Lance develops that sort of, okay, I'm going to read. If nothing's there, then I'll take off versus, first option is not there. Okay, boom, go.
Yeah.
Like if he's able to develop that, then I think you're looking at somebody who has a very high ceiling. And Kyle Yates, who we've had on this show, Ryan, you've worked with at the Fantasy Footballers.
Yeah.
Trey Lance is his number 1 quarterback.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's a guy that could very easily, people need to pay attention to. And Mac Jones, that's another guy. I know Ray GQ is very high on Mac Jones. And a lot of it boils down to football IQ and what he's able to do with the weapons that he has. And he had really good weapons at Alabama. Let's not sugarcoat that. So did Tua. And we've seen some quarterbacks that have made the best out of nothing, but then got to the NFL and sucked.
Yep.
We see it all different ways. So, you're going to see a lot of these teams that are QB starved. Maybe this is a year like back when, what was the year? I think it was when McNabb was drafted. You saw like Tim Couch, McNabb, Achilles Smith.
Right? Achilles Smith.
No, I think that was 99.
Josh McCown.
Cade McCown was there.
Yeah.
Like Dante Culpepper, I think, went in the same draft. Like you had that was guys go in the top 15 because
that was 99. 02 was Vic, wasn't it?
And then there was the 1 year with Christian Ponder where 5 guys went super early. Yeah, like they were reaching for guys like Jake Locker, Christian Ponder that you're just like, these guys don't belong up here.
At least Jake Locker flashed for like a game. Christian Ponder was garbage.
Yeah,
he was terrible.
He wasn't even that good at Florida State. But the point I'm getting at is when teams need quarterbacks start you reach.
You're gonna reach.
The most important position on the field.
So I don't know that much about Trey Lance, and I didn't know that stat of 28 touchdowns to 0 interceptions. I don't care who you are. I don't care where you play. If you throw 28 touchdowns and don't turn the ball over, you're pretty good at the sport, I would imagine. I think that probably boosts Lance up draft boards, and I don't know. I think Trey Lance will probably get a good shot inside the top 6. Like you said, teams are probably going to slide up and
but to your question, Joe, what quarterback has succeeded from South Dakota State?
North Dakota State, Carson Wentz.
North Dakota State,
Carson Wentz.
Oh, but you tell me all the time that Carson Wentz sucks.
I've been
he's garbage.
About, like, the Eagles drafting Trey Lance a lot.
Evaluate the player, not the program.
I'm going to evaluate the program.
Just saying.
Yep, I'll evaluate the program. Is the same head coach that coached Carson Wentz still at NDSU that coached Trey Lance?
I honestly don't know.
Okay, well, if it is, then I would be happily to say that I think Trey Lance will probably do well because I think the guy that ruined Carson Wentz was Doug Peterson.
Yeah, and the quarterback in between them was Easton Stick. What's he doing?
Easton Stick is a backup in the NFL.
Okay.
He was a 4th-round pick.
A backup.
Yeah, a backup in the NFL, currently there. You know who else is a backup? Every single Nick Saban quarterback ever produced.
Technically,
I don't know what you want from me. Nick Saban has never produced a starter.
Carson Wentz was easily one of the worst starting quarterbacks in the NFL last year.
Yes, and I said
just throwing that, and that's coming from an Eagles fan.
And
I think he was the worst. I think he might have been the worst.
Yeah, Cam Newton has a bone to pick with you.
That's why I said one of the worst.
Cam Newton has a bone to pick with you. So.
I know he's no Cam Newton. Let's just move on.
Yep, no Cam Newton. All right, so speaking of older guys, though, I do want to wrap it up here, and this is going to be rapid fire here. So we're going to say if you think they're retiring, no one's going to sign them. Which team they sign with.
All right.
That's simple, right? You get 3 options.
I can't just say done.
You could say done if you think that they're done.
DUN done.
Sure. AJ Green. Hutch.
Done. DUN done.
Ryan.
Miami.
He'll get a shot somewhere. He will 100% get a shot somewhere.
Yeah, he will, but he won't play well. He's DUN done.
He's not done. He can still catch the football. He doesn't have the range.
Percentage last year would beg to differ, but
well, here's the thing: he doesn't have the
athleticism. 13 targets and 3 receptions, right?
He doesn't have the athleticism that he used to have.
Yeah.
Like that's the issue. He doesn't have the. If it's thrown in his now smaller catch radius, I think he catches it. It's just he has a much smaller catch radius. T.Y. Hilton, Josh,
done.
Hutch,
done.
Ryan,
he'll get signed somewhere.
I agree, he'll get signed, but he's done.
Yeah, he'll get signed, but he's DUN done, just like AJ Green.
I like you, Hutch.
For me.
he'll get signed in a few games.
I was gonna say, I think he'll perform.
I think he will too.
Quarterback.
I think there's a chance. At the end of the year,
you know what? I'm gonna go back. I'd love to see T.Y. in Washington.
Hell yeah, baby! Let's go.
I could
Taylor Heineke. Taylor Heineke. TH to T.Y.
If they get a real quarterback in Washington, I could see T.Y. Hilton performing. That is definitely a possibility.
All right. Larry Legend.
But I still think he's done.
Josh.
I think the only way, if the Cardinals bring him back, that's the only way he plays. But he's still effective. I don't think he's done in the sense that, he can't perform, but they don't ask him to do much more than block and catch the occasional slant pass for 7 yards.
Hutch?
Yeah, same thing here. I think it's just sign with the Cardinals, maybe a 2-year deal, a quick 2-year deal or something. He won't get much work, but he can still play.
Ryan?
I think he needs to retire, and we are borderlining on hurting the legacy.
Agree with that.
We're not hurting the legacy. The dude still doesn't drop the football. Doesn't he have the most? He doesn't have the longest active streak ever of
with no drops.
Yes.
No, a game with one catch, or every game he has one catch.
I thought that was broken this past year.
I think it was broken.
No, that was broken. Yeah, he didn't have a catch.
But
he
even Larry Fitzgerald.
Nah, he caught a game. He caught a ball in every game he played last year.
Oh, there you go. But Larry Fitzgerald has had, I think, 6 seasons in his career where he's never dropped the football.
Isn't it?
What?
Oh, there's
never
some crazy stat that
there's some crazy stat. He has less drops than
something. I can't remember what it was.
It's unreal. Larry Fitzgerald won't go down as the best receiver because Jerry Rice has that and will almost forever always have that. Fitzgerald, in my opinion, is probably 3, and you could argue Moss or T.O. at 2. I would put Moss there and then put Fitz behind Moss, but Larry Fitzgerald will be a top 3 receiver of all time.
All time, yeah.
The dude, he doesn't drop the football.
It was the
unreal.
drop. It was the drop streak that ended this year. I was just looking it up. November of this year, he dropped his first pass in 2 years.
So
you're gonna love this, Joe. I found it. Larry Fitzgerald has more NFL tackles than he has career.
Oh, drops. That's the stat.
Yep.
Oh my God.
He's unreal.
Wait,
he's
so
unreal.
drops. When you say drops, that doesn't mean incompletions, right? That
No,
means balls
drops.
went off his hand.
He has 29 drops in his career, 37 tackles.
I watched him this year.
That doesn't mean incompletions, right? That means balls that went off his hands.
Yeah.
And then,
which technically is an incompletion, but him physically dropping the ball.
Yeah.
Okay.
I watched him this year catch a ball behind a defender's back and fall backwards in the end zone. He doesn't. It's stupid.
Like I said, I just think we're starting to borderline. It's
probably close, but I don't think it's hurting the legacy.
I think he might have one more year. I think he might have one more year, maybe 2. But we're going to start ruining the legacy soon.
Yeah, and fewer than 8 yards per catch last year.
Well, again, they're using him in the slot underneath.
Oh, I know.
Yeah,
but that's still really low.
I would argue he's a top 10 blocking receiver in the NFL. Still, he's an unreal blocking receiver. All right, last 3 guys. Desean Jackson, my 2 Eagles fans. Hutch.
Yeah, he's done.
Okay,
done 3 years ago.
Ryan.
Done.
Yeah, I think
that's DUNN done.
Yeah,
I mean, when he was healthy, he could still run. He could still run. He could still catch the ball, but he just can't stay healthy anymore.
At some point he has to start worrying about his longevity of life after football.
Yeah. Yeah, it's
all soft tissue injuries. It's all hamstrings and quads.
All hamstring quads.
If you told me a team wanted to sign Desean Jackson and throw him out there for 3 or 4 plays a game, and the defense knew that Desean Jackson was just going to run straight, I would still put money that Desean Jackson would beat the defense because he's still that good, I think.
In my notes, I said his best landing spots are all his former teams. If he went back to Tampa Bay or Washington, it would be interesting.
Yeah, Tampa Bay or Washington, yeah.
Yep, agreed. All right, Golden Tate, Josh, recently released.
He'll probably sign. There's also a lot of drama going on around him, so I think if he signs, it's probably not going to be till training camp.
Yep. Hutch?
Yeah, same here.
Okay.
Like I said, until training camp, he'll be a solid slot guy.
Ryan?
Nothing really more.
I see. This is where I would lean on that. I don't think he's going to do much. How old is Golden Tate?
33?
He'll be 33 when the season starts. I'm sure he'll sign. I agree. It'll probably be late, and I don't think he does anything.
Just New England sign him for my own satisfaction, please.
There you go.
Because you should have traded for him 4 years ago. So just for my own satisfaction, put him on the team.
Same with Frank Gore.
Oh, Frank Gore! AFC East tour, baby.
That's
Finish
what
it up.
New England needs is more old guys who can't play 16 games.
Listen. I don't care how many games Frank Gore plays. When he plays, he's going to be effective. I don't care. He's going to be effective.
That's true.
For 3 yards.
All right, and then the last guy, Antonio Brown.
All I put in my notes, I'll go first here. I don't think
ahead.
any other team in the NFL is willing to give him a chance. I think it's Tampa Bay or nothing again. So
I agree.
And
I agree with that.
We have an active room of yes.
I think
I think he just wants to play with Tom Brady. I think that's really what it just boils down to. Yeah,
that's all he wants.
He got his ring, but at this point he's made decent money.
Yep.
Probably needs to make more money, but he's also a free agent. Chris Godwin's a free agent. If you're Tampa, who's cheaper? It's going to be Antonio Brown.
Yep.
Yeah.
So
I'll end on this question. Let's take everything Antonio Brown personal life off the table. Talent wise, is he still a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL, Josh?
Yes.
Hutch.
I firmly believe that.
I don't think so.
Okay.
I think there's a lot of receivers out there that I would put over him.
Okay.
yeah,
Brian?
I don't think he's top 10.
I think he has top 5. Did you ask top 5 or top 10?
Top 5.
Yeah, I'm saying I don't even think he's top 10.
Yeah.
Yeah, I wouldn't. Top 10 might be close, but I don't think so.
I would.
He's still one of the nastiest route runners in the NFL.
I was going to say after
his route running.
Devontae Adams,
So,
Keenan Allen, and Calvin Ridley in that order, I think Antonio Brown's the next best route runner in the NFL.
Okay, I thought you were
that
gonna say
touchdown
Stephon
run on
Diggs.
that Super Bowl, he's still
Stephon Diggs.
Stephon Diggs?
Diggs is really good.
Diggs is ridiculous.
And so is Deontay Johnson.
Deontay Johnson is good too. Antonio Brown is better than
Hold
Diggs.
on, I know we want to get out of this show, but Josh, you said maybe top 5. Devontae Adams, Tyreek Hill, Stephon Diggs, DeAndre Hopkins, Calvin Ridley.
I don't look. Hopkins is good. I don't think he's as
Jefferson.
good a route runner.
Justin Jefferson, man.
He's a better,
No,
he's a better overall wide receiver.
No. You said, is he a top 5 wide receiver? And you said yes.
Yeah.
I put him over Antonio. I put him over Tyreek Hill.
So who's your top 5 receivers in the NFL?
Me?
So
My
your
top 5?
Yeah, Joshua. If he's saying Antonio Brown's in the top 5, who is it? Who's in the top 5? Who's he ahead of?
Devontae Adams.
AB, obviously.
Yeah, I'll put AB there.
Obvi.
Stephon Diggs, I absolutely love him, and DeAndre Hopkins. Those would be my top 4 right now.
Interesting.
Okay, I asked for 5, but that's okay.
I don't need to think of a fifth one because AB's already in there.
I like him.
All right.
Hutch, for the record, I also put Keenan Allen in my top 5 because I absolutely love Keenan Allen.
I would put Keenan Allen in my top 5 too.
I love Keenan Allen. I just
this is the Keenan Allen fan club right here.
Yep.
This
man.
Keenan Allen fan club.
Whole thing of 3 right here. Yeah.
Yep. Oh God, I love Keenan Allen so much. All right, so there you go. That's the end question with Antonio Brown, and that is how we will wrap up our show. How was it, Hutch? First appearance. How'd you like it?
Oh man, I loved it.
Awesome.
I was a little nervous in the beginning, but it just kind of it just felt more natural with you guys. You guys are just great people, and I just love talking to you guys. It was awesome.
Thank you.
Thanks,
You
man.
killed it, man. You killed it.
Wow.
Thanks, Hutch.
Yeah.
You did fantastic, dude. Fantastic. I'm
Thanks,
really
man.
looking forward to your podcast now. This is going to be good, man.
I
Thanks.
consistently crap on absolutely everything everyone here said, but I appreciate you calling me a nice guy. I think after all that, it really says something. Yes, I did see
Oh
this.
shoot.
Yeah, Michael Thomas.
You ended on the right one, Jabroni.
He's good at
Yeah.
he's good at one route with the slant route, right?
Yeah.
He
Does one thing well.
routes.
He catches the foot. Well, okay, 2 things. He does 2 things well. He catches the football and runs a slant. That's it.
Yep.
I think he might be a little more than that, but
He's
he's mainly slant boy.
right now. He's not in the top 10 for me.
Wow.
No, he's not. I mean,
I would
either.
still put him in the top 10. I would still put him in top 10, but
Oh my goodness, he'd be at 10 or 9. He'd be right there at 10 or 9, but
He'd be at the bottom. Yep.
he'd be at the very bottom if he was in the
I
top
think
10.
he did what Drew Brees needed him to do, and I think he is a top 5 wide receiver in the NFL.
Okay, Ryan. All right. That's cute. That's adorable.
If he had repeated the season that he had last year, or at least came close to it, I'd probably agree with Ryan. But
I think you could say the
that
same thing
injury,
about
what
Godwin.
he looked like after the injury was just
on
bad.
the few mocks I've been doing. I think I'll be buying the Michael Thomas ADP dip quite a bit this year.
Yeah, where's his ADP like right now? Is he
Just
like
on the
low
mocks
end?
I'm seeing, I don't know the ADP off the top of my head. He is literally hitting late second, early third right now. So
I've still not
Oh,
touched
man.
him. Still not touched him.
I might draft him there.
Nope.
Depending on the quarterback, but I might draft him there.
Back-to-back running backs has rarely failed me in fantasy football. So
Yeah, I usually go back running back.
back-to-back running
that's
backs.
what I'm saying. If I can get him in the third.
Okay.
But then again, I have to take Travis Kelce in the first of every draft.
AJ Brown, thank you for
easily.
coming to my TED Talk, Sean. AJ Brown.
AJ Brown is easy.
He is a
Not even
better
close to
route
me.
runner, has the same quality hands. Oh, and he's faster.
Yeah, ask me who my
Yeah,
top
he's much
5 are
faster.
next year. AJ Brown, I guarantee you will be in that.
AJ Brown's probably
AJ,
in it.
I mean, for fantasy, right?
No, I'm saying overall.
Just in real
Or
life.
for NFL.
In real life.
In Dynasty,
top five
AJ
fantasy.
Brown is a top 5 Dynasty.
AJ
fan.
Brown
easily.
is
Yeah.
so good. He was my favorite wide receiver coming out 2 years ago. I was
Wow.
very nervous about him going to Tennessee, but I've never seen that type of efficiency back-to-back years. Like that
No, it's
absolutely
ridiculous.
baffles
I mean,
me.
Ryan
And it just goes to
Also
show,
very
like,
efficient.
yeah. I'm curious to see how him, AJ Brown, Tannehill, really that whole Tennessee offense performs now that they're bringing in a new coordinator. Now I'm not saying that Arthur Smith was something special by any means, but you know, now you're calling different plays for different people and different philosophies, etc. So
The last 2 years, Arthur Smith's been the OC. It's been the best 2 years of basically everyone in that offense's career.
yeah,
I'm not.
Seriously. They've been
I
such a fun offense to watch.
yeah, and
I love watching them.
I think
Let's get
I
back
don't.
here.
Yeah, let's go, Derrick Henry. I think
Oh, yeah.
Arthur Smith is going to be a terrible head coach, but he's going to go back and be an incredible offensive coordinator because that's his thing.
time will tell.
Hope he was listening.
We do.
Yeah,
You just made the list, Joe.
Arthur Smith, if you're listening to this fantasy football podcast on March 3rd, appreciate you, buddy. Come on the show. I promise it's again, Arthur, nothing against you as a person, just you and your job. That's really all I'm talking about here.
Wow,
Say that.
okay.
Say that with all the players. Yeah, that's all I say. I'd say it's nothing personal. Just you're bad at your job. It's that simple.
All right.
All right. Wrap it up for the 7th time today. I don't fucking know what we're doing.
Yeah.
Um,
you want
all
to
right.
start with Cam Newton?
Yeah. I'm literally I have to
Bring
come
up
to
Cam
next
Newton?
week's show. I have to come to next week's show with all 50 quarterbacks I said to Josh that I would rather have over Cam Newton as my starter.
Oh man. Oh
be a
yeah,
lot
I
of
heard
fun.
that. I heard you say that. On
Yes.
I think on the wide receiver show.
I
On
will
the
have to
quarterback show.
compile. I will have to compile a list that all 50 guys. But
50.
Uh,
All right.
yes. All right, Hutch. One more time. Everyone can follow you at TYFM NFL, and
Yep.
your podcast drops when?
April 1st. The teaser is coming in mid to late March, but I'll update you guys on my Twitter account when it
Perfect.
drops.
Hell
Follow
yeah.
this man.
Yes.
Yes.
Let's get him to 300 by the end of the night.
Yeah, 300. Let's go. Come
Woo.
on, guys.
Yep. Follow him, TYFM NFL. Also, if you missed the latest episode of the Speakeasy, it's on our YouTube page. And you should also know that Linda Ellians, Linda G, is now the newest host of the Speakeasy. And also, am I saying the one that we're releasing on International
Yeah,
Women's
because
Day?
we're going to release the graphic for it on Friday, and
On
we're going
Friday.
to debut the episode on Monday. So by all means, Joe, go right ahead.
Let's do it. Linda's first hosted episode will premiere on March 8th, which is this upcoming Monday, International Women's Day. And it will include one Steffi Smalls, the newest member of the FTN team. So first off, congratulations to Steffi on being
Yes.
a member.
And if any, and I don't know how many of you two have seen this episode yet, it is absolutely fantastic.
I have not seen it.
Fantastic.
So
It is
I am excited.
very, very good.
I'm excited to edit and take a look at it. And also next week, we will be back once more, as we are every single week. We're thrilled to have Mike Matias. Is that how you say his last name? Mattis. Thank you. That I really messaged you up. Mike Mattis, aka Fantasy Mike. He's the analyst, and I believe he's the social media manager over with Ball Blast Football. So excited to have Mike on. We just had one from Ball Blast last week with Kate, and now we get another one with Mike. And that will be our last free agency preview show, previewing the tight ends, which is just a slew in depth and abundance of people in that position. So I'm sure we will talk all tight ends the entire show. But join us next week for that. And then the week after, we don't know who we're going to have on, but they're going to be on for the absolute madness that is going to ensue from March 15th to 17th with free agency tampering periods beginning. Also, we neglected to mention JJ Watt to the Cardinals. If you missed that over social media, but JJ Watt now a Cardinal. It's that one piece they needed to take them from 7-9 to 8-8. It's that one piece they needed
for $31 million.
Yeah, for just for the comp price of $23 million guaranteed. It's not like their head coach is garbage or anything like that. All right, wrapping up. Thank you, Hutch, for joining us, and we appreciate you.
It's been a pleasure, Hutch.
We appreciate you letting us.
Man, it was so awesome being here. Thanks for having me.
Appreciate it. At anytime. Also, anytime. Again, we say this to all our guests, but anytime, we appreciate you. Sean just followed you. Gosh, Sean's the best. Don't we just love Sean?
Love this dude, man.
Absolutely love Sean.
Thanks, man. Appreciate that.
Sean keeps our show going during the
Sean
year.
Essentially runs. He basically ran our
producer.
Yeah, he ran our start-sit shows during start-sit Saturday shows during the season. So we appreciate you, Sean. All right. For Hutch at TYFM NFL. I'm gonna get that. I'm gonna run that through my head. It's very catchy.
It took me a while. It took me a while to get that one right.
Yeah, got to make it like a ringtone. It's like kiss me through the phone.
You're gonna make a jingle out of it.
Yeah, it's like the "Kiss Me Through the Phone" song by Soulja Boy. Touch, I think you're a little young for that one. Unless do you know the song?
Yeah, me. I recognize that song. I recognize that tune.
Again,
I recognize it.
You don't have to look it up.
Don't look it up.
It's a good song. It's a fantastic song.
It's not a good song.
It's not a good song.
Ryan, leave, you old man. It's a great song. For Joshua Hudson at the One Hudsonia, and I'm not even going to give Ryan a send off because he has removed himself from the conversation.
Oh shoot, he removed. Oh my goodness.
Or Ryan at the Fantasy Pod, myself at Joe_Zolo. You can follow Club Fantasy on Facebook, Twitter, and Instagram at Club Fantasy FFL. The URL is clubfantasyffl.com, where someone just dropped their first article, correct?
Yeah, Zach Smith at FF Wu-Tang Forever on Twitter.
You can check out Zach's article on David Montgomery, correct?
Yeah. Sell David Montgomery in Dynasty, says Zach.
Yes, go check out and read that on why he thinks you should sell David Montgomery. Always remember, defense wins championships, offense wins fantasy football. We will see you next week for our free agency tight end preview with Mike Mattis, a.k.a. Fantasy Mike, fantasy analyst and social media coordinator over with Ball